Every spring across Europe, orange cones appear, asphalt pavers hum, and lanes close. Potholes are filled, cracks sealed, and surfaces replaced, only for the cycle to repeat a year later. Meanwhile, in Italy, France, Spain, and North Africa, roads nearly 2,000 years old still exist. Some continue to carry traffic, while others are so well preserved that you can walk on them without stumbling. City authorities don't spend a dime of their maintenance budget on them, simply because there's nothing to repair. This isn't due to magic or mythology. It's because of an engineering approach that the modern construction industry has lost in its pursuit of speed and low cost. Let's start by examining how the Romans built their roads, as this is where the main secret lies, and it's much simpler than it appears. A Roman road wasn't just a surface, it was a structure, 80 centimeters to 1.5 meters deep. Modern asphalt, by contrast, consists of 2 to 3 layers of bituminous mineral mix, only 10 to 15 centimeters thick. That's the core difference. But as always, the devil is in the details. First, builders excavated the ground to a depth of up to 1 meter. Large, flat stones, limestone, tuff, basalt, whatever local rock was available, were laid at the bottom. This layer was called statumen, literally meaning support. These stones could be up to 30 centimeters in size, and their sole purpose was to distribute the load over the largest possible area of soil, preventing any settling or deformation under weight. If the ground was soft or marshy, wooden piles were driven, or fascines of brushwood were laid beneath the stones. It was a foundation built like that of a building, not just a road. Above the statumen came the rudis layer, crushed stone, broken brick, and gravel, all bound together with lime mortar. This layer, 15 to 20 centimeters thick, absorbed the load from above and distributed it evenly downwards. Here lies one of the Romans' key secrets. They used pozzolan, volcanic ash, from the Puteoli area on the Bay of Naples. A mix of pozzolan, lime, and water created a material that not only hardened, but continued to gain strength underwater. While modern Portland cement was invented in the 19th century, Romans utilized this hydraulic binder 5 centuries before Christ. In 2017, when scientists examined Roman harbor structures submerged for 2 millennia, they discovered the concrete hadn't deteriorated. It had actually become stronger. Seawater had triggered a chemical reaction that continuously reinforced the material's structure. In contrast, modern concrete typically degrades in seawater. Within a few decades, the third layer was called nucleus, or core. This consisted of fine gravel, ceramic fragments, sand, and more mortar, all meticulously compacted and leveled. Another 20 to 30 centimeters thick, this layer created a perfectly even platform for the final surface. No modern contractor in their right mind would bury such costly labor underground. A Roman engineer, however, could not afford not to do it. Finally came the summum dorsum, the upper ridge. This consisted of polygonal stone slabs, fitted together with such precision that no mortar was needed between the joints. Materials varied by region, including basalt, limestone, and sometimes sandstone. The slabs were laid with a transverse slope from the center to the edges, giving the road a convex profile like a whale's back. Water did not linger on the surface. It immediately drained into lateral ditches running alongside each road. This was perhaps the most underestimated design feature. The moln. Primary enemy of any road surface is not heavy loads or frost, but water. Water seeps into microcracks, freezes, expands, and tears the material apart from within. The Romans solved this problem through geometry, simply giving the water nowhere to go but off the road. Alongside the ditches were margins, raised pedestrian paths made of compacted gravel. At regular intervals, mounting blocks were placed for horse riders. Every Roman mile, approximately 1.5 kilometers, stood a milliarium, a milestone indicating the distance to Rome, the name of the consul under whom the road was built, and often the name of the builder. Personal accountability was thus embedded directly into the road's very architecture. Now let's consider the scale. While the technology itself is impressive, what the Romans accomplished with it is a different story entirely. By the height of the empire, Rome's road network spanned approximately 400,000 kilometers, with about 80,000 kilometers being high-class paved highways, or Vie Publique. For comparison, the Earth's equator is 40,000 kilometers long. The Romans laid stone over a distance equivalent to 10 times around the globe. They did this without excavators, trucks, or concrete mixers, relying instead on an army of shovels, picks, human backs, and a mathematically precise system that transformed this labor into something eternal. These roads were built by legions, not as punishment, but as a military objective. In peacetime, soldiers didn't sit idle in barracks. They constructed roads, erected bridges, and dug canals. A legion functioned as both an army and a construction crew, operating with iron discipline. Every soldier was skilled with both a gladius, sword, and a pickaxe, maintaining physical fitness, discipline, and engineering proficiency simultaneously. Rome didn't hire contractors for public works. Rome built them itself, making quality a matter of martial honor. The necessity of this extensive network is easy to explain, though its sheer scale is harder to grasp immediately. A fully equipped legion, 5,000 men with baggage trains, catapults, and food supplies, could cover up to 30 kilometers a day on a good road. On a muddy dirt track, the same legion would move twice as slowly, getting bogged down, breaking equipment, and arriving exhausted at the battlefield. Road quality literally determined the outcome of wars. Add to this the imperial postal service, the cursus publicus, which only functioned where paved routes existed, and the logistics of transporting grain, oil, metal, and textiles from the provinces to Rome and back. Without these roads, a province would effectively become a separate state within a few years. This is precisely why every new consul and emperor prioritized building and repairing roads. It wasn't a whim or an act of charity. It was the empire's life support system. But let's return to the main question. Why do these roads still stand? There are several reasons, each offering a distinct lesson for modern builders. The first is the depth of the foundation. Modern asphalt is laid on a prepared base 20 to 30 centimeters thick, which is sufficient to bear the load but not enough to insulate the surface from seasonal ground movements. When the ground freezes in winter and thaws in spring, it shifts, pulling anything shallow with it. The Roman statumen extended below the frost line, meaning the ground could move as much as it pleased, and the road wouldn't notice. The second reason is drainage. The lateral ditches, the convex profile, and culverts beneath the road in low-lying areas. The entire system functioned as a single organism, expelling water. Modern roads also incorporate drainage, but it's designed for normal operating conditions. If even one drain becomes clogged, water begins its destructive work. The third reason is materials. Pozzolanic concrete not only holds its own against modern concrete, but surpasses it in several characteristics. It's more flexible, less prone to cracking, and, as mentioned, gains strength over time rather than losing it. Modern concrete begins to degrade after 50 years. Roman concrete became stronger. The fourth reason, and perhaps the most uncomfortable to discuss, is the economics of construction. Rome didn't scrimp on initial building costs because it factored in long-term operational expenses. Investing twice as much labor up front meant spending nothing on repairs for 200 years. The modern construction industry operates in the exact opposite way. The contractor profits from construction, while the city budget, and thus the taxpayer, pays for repairs repeatedly. This isn't a technical issue. It's a problem of incentives. No one is incentivized for a road to last forever. A Roman engineer, however, was incentivized. His name was carved. On to the milestone, and if the road deteriorated during his tenure, he bore personal responsibility to the state. There's another point rarely mentioned. Roman roads were built by hand. This meant every centimeter passed through human hands. Stones were selected, trimmed, and laid with careful inspection. There was no machine that miscalibrated pressure or missed a defect at speed. Modern construction relies on machinery precisely because it's faster and cheaper, but machines operate on averages. A person with a hammer works with precision. The outcome is paradoxical. A civilization that lacked excavators, modern cement, trucks, or surveying satellites built a road network that outlasted the civilization itself by 1,500 years and continues to exist. A civilization that possesses all these things cannot build a road that survives a single winter without potholes. The difference isn't in technology. The difference is in what you aim to build. A project that meets a deadline, or a project that endures? The Romans chose the latter, and their choice can still be touched today.